Welcome to episode 139 of The Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and that's where this episode's show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, which is where I sell my handspun yarns and my patterns. And we have a Ravelry group called The Corner of Knit and Tea. And if you haven't come over and joined us, you should. We have a couple fun things going on right now. We are currently in the middle of a sock along that is for anyone who wants to make adult socks. They can be knitted or crocheted. And it was running from May 1st through June 30th. There are some prizes of yarn and patterns. And basically all you have to do is knit or crochet a pair of socks and post a picture of the finished socks in the thread, and I will draw for random number generator prizes on July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, somewhere around there. And as many pairs of socks as you knit, you can enter. I'm already up to my third pair, I think, and ready to cast on another pair. The second thing that I started in the group this week is I did have enough people respond last week and say that they were interested in doing a Tour de Fleece team. That is a spinning event through the Tour de France. And basically, as a spinner, you spin every day that the Tour de France rides. This year it is going to be from July 2nd through July 23rd. And so spin a little bit every day, come over, talk, share your progress photos. You set your own goals. You can spin any fiber in any manner, spindle, wheel, charka, anything. I am not partial to specific dyers. Whatever dyers you want to use, anything you want. Just spin, have a good time, and there will be some prizes for chatting, as well as I will do a prize draw when the event is over. I'll have some kind of contest thread where everybody who participated will get one entry, and there will be a prize drawing. So come over, chat. I just love Tour de Fleece. It is one of my favorite times of year. I actually like watching the bike race and spinning, and it is a few weeks during the year where I don't knit very much. I give myself permission to just sit at the wheel, and I absolutely love it. I usually get a couple pounds done, but that is just my personal goal. And actually I went through my stash this morning and picked out a whole bin of fiber to spin in the next several weeks and for the tour. So I am getting excited about it, even though it's not starting until the beginning of next month. But if you're interested, I did set up the team thread, and we have a tag and all kinds of things, and you are most welcome to join us. And if you are not a spinner and want to hang out anyway, you're welcome to come and chat. And the only rule that I ever have is if you want to be eligible for prizes, you need to be a member of the group. So just join the group and come join us. Also, as many teams as you want for Tour de Fleece. Some other teams have rules about how many teams you can be on, but not me. Double, triple, quadruple dip. Just come hang out. We'll have a good time together. So those are the things that are going on in the group. Whew. It is Sunday, June 4th. It is mid-afternoon. The weekend has been super warm, and this afternoon it's kind of rainy, which is about on par for our summer. It was a short week, which was nice because we had the holiday last Monday. I got quite a bit of little odds and ends of crafting done. I actually technically don't have anything on my needles right now. I intend to rectify that this afternoon, and I brought a few things to show you. But I finished a couple things late last night and haven't had a chance to start anything today. So the week was pretty good. Yesterday my husband ran his fourth and final for the spring half marathon. And Friday night we went and stayed downtown to be right near where the race started, so we didn't have to get up super early and get there. Unfortunately, it was almost 80 degrees by the time he was finished running yesterday at 9 a.m., so it was not the most comfortable run for him, but he is done now. He will do some running over the summer, but he won't be doing any more like sponsored runs until the fall. So that is sort of what's going on here. So let's get into it. Today I decided to go for iced tea, and almost all my ice is melted, so I hope the tea is still good. I made it hot and then poured it over ice. I am drinking a grapefruit oolong from Adagio Teas. This is one of my favorites, and I figured citrusy it would be good iced. It has oolong tea, natural grapefruit flavor, orange peels, and sunflower petals. This again was this was a favorite of mine. I originally ordered Adagio is great because you can order lots of samples for like $1 to $2 a sample, and they had an oolong sampler, and I liked all of the teas in that sampler because, as it turns out, I really like oolong. Oolong is kind of a milder black tea, and I tend to find it's a little bit smoother and a little bit less bitter. Anyway, so this is grapefruit, and I put it in my Tervis Minions mug with some ice. And it is delicious, and I figured because it was a little grapefruity, it would be perfect for summer. So that is what I'm drinking today. I'll put a link in the show notes. And let's move on. So I have all finished objects to show you this week. It's really great. I'm kind of excited about it. The first, of course, is my Buccaneer shawl. This is a pattern by Justina Lorkowska, and I knit it in O-wool O-wash fingering and a mishmash of gradient sets from 100 Ravens. It's her Yacho space, and it is a kind of tightly twisted base. And this is a garter stitch and feather and fan lace shawl. The shaping actually, as it turns out, is very similar to the Find My Fade shawl, or Find Your Fade shawl that I just did, although the patterns were written fairly far apart. So, and they're achieved slightly differently, but it has a similar shape. So basically it's got a garter section followed by feather and fan sections where I used my gradients, and then it's another garter section, and then another feather and fan section, and the second section kind of gave me fits. I think I was getting close to starting that the last time we talked, and unfortunately I pulled this out so many times. Part of it is that I decided to deviate from the pattern a little bit, so I had to sort of do the thinking, and I couldn't just follow the pattern. Part of it was that my brain was just not cooperating, and so some of the time I was messing it up. I ripped it out to reorder the colors once. So the second half was far more frustrating than the first, but it was mostly my fault, so I can't blame that on anyone. The pattern was okay. It actually has two versions of the shawl. One includes the feather and fan lace sections, and then one includes, if you want to do it more as a chevron without the feather and fan lace. And I found the pattern a little bit confusing because it's laid out so the two versions are sort of interspersed, like do section 1, then do section 2, you can do A or B, then do section 3, then do section 4, you can do A or B. I found the layout somewhat confusing. I wish she had just made it two separate patterns or one after the other sequentially. But other than that, I was okay with it, and I am very pleased with it. It is a large shawl. I do not know exactly how I will wear it, in part because if I wear it sort of as a bandana, how I wear a lot of my shawls, I don't actually get much of the beautiful feather and fan lace showing. Maybe I can sort of, I don't know, tie it on the side. I don't know exactly how I'm going to wear it yet, but I am pleased to be done, and it was fun to knit. I don't always enjoy the look of feather and fan, but here it was really great. And for this one, I didn't fully block it. What I chose to do is steam block the feather and fan lace sections so that they would open up and you could see the lace, but I did not really block the garter sections because I like them to be squishy, and I find garter stitch to be a lot more squishy unblocked. So you could block it and just not block it too hard, but that's how I chose to do that. So that is my Buccaneer. That is Rhinebeck yarn that I used, so I am pleased to have used that and to have finished this. And it will go into my scarf and shawl drawer to be worn. I love that it has so many colors in it because it kind of gradiates from purple through green to blue, so I think it will be a great addition to my wardrobe because I can sort of mix and match it with all the colors. So that is Buccaneer. I did a blog post about it this week if you want more details, or they are on my Ravelry project page. So that is the first one that's done. The second one that I finished is, I believe, my third pair of socks for our knit along. And I showed you one that was almost done last week. I think I finished it Sunday night, so I don't think I got to show you the full sock last week. Maybe, I just can't remember. Anyway, I knit the whole second sock this week. So these are the Union Square socks by Mina Phillip. She is the knitting expat, and this was the May pattern for her New York Sock Club. The June pattern has subsequently been released. But I enjoyed these. I knit these in, this is another Crafty Girl strong sock, which is merino nylon in her Punky Brewster colorway. And I love these. These are cheerful and fun socks. And I did an Eye of Partridge heel to take advantage of the beautiful yarn because I thought it would be so pretty that way. And I love them and am ready to wear them. And so that is my third pair of socks since... Well, okay, in May, technically, I only knit one pair. They were the second halves of 2 sets, so technically this is the third set, which means I am ready for a new pair of socks, which I will get to. So that is the second thing finished this week. And the third thing was I decided to pick up and I knit a hat for Miles in the couple weeks previous, so I decided to knit a hat for Roxy. And I used some, I had some Mrs. Crosby steamer trunk, which is their 100% superwash merino. It was in a special colorway from Eat Sleep Knit called a Sweet Race. It was one of their colorways for the 10,000 yards at Eat Sleep Knit that I am sort of participating in this year. I don't know that I'll get to 10,000, but I did get a boost because I got a scratcher card with one of my orders that jumped me ahead a little bit, and this was the prize for that. It is fun yarn. It's got pink and brown and turquoise in it, and it knit up into a really fun squishy hat. This is the Pearl Soho Classic Cuffed Hat, and I knit it in the child size for Miss Roxy. It looks a little bit long and big, but I'm hoping maybe it will even last her more than one season, and if we need it a little bit shorter, she can cuff the brim. And then I did a nice pom-pom, and I literally used all but a couple grams of the skein because I figured I might as well finish it out on the pom-pom. So that is another one done and dusted. So I need to take photos of this, and then I'll hold on to it probably till the fall when I will send their winter gear up with them. As a side note, finishing these projects this week gave me a jump start on Stash Dash. I don't know if any of you are participating. That is the Knit Girls. Leslie is You Don't Call Me Les, and Laura is Lala. And every summer they do a Stash Dash between Memorial Day weekend and when Laura goes back to work, which is usually mid-August. And the idea is to finish projects that are in your stash or use up as much as you can. Every year they have a variety of categories. They have a 1K, 3K, 5K, 10K, and this year they added the 15K, and that is all in meters. So between the shawl and the 2 hats and the pair of socks, I am up to about 1,500 meters so far this summer. In general, it is my goal to hit 10. It is a competition against no one but myself, so we'll just have to see. All my spinning yardage will count and all my knitting yardage will count. And since I'm participating in Camp Loopy, I expect to get some bonuses there because I will be knitting larger objects there. And we will just see, but for the first couple weeks, 1,500 is not bad. So that, it basically started on the 26th of March and we're only on the 4th of June. So I don't know if I can keep that up because at least the shawl was mostly knit before then, but we'll just have to see. So that is what I finished this week. So my needles technically are empty. I talked to you last week about what I was going to do for Camp Loopy, and since then I have changed my mind somewhat. The theme this year is dinosaurs, and so the theme for the first project was texture. And I ordered some yarn from the Loopy U. I ordered, and I can't remember if I even showed this last week, Canard String Fingering Weight. That is the tag. It is a fingering weight, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards, in the colorway Fired Up. And originally I thought about knitting socks with this, and that was what I had pretty much planned to do. And the problem is, so I have size 6.5 feet. And so my socks end up being kind of small. I usually don't end up using a ton of the skein when I knit my socks. Most of them end up being between 250 and 275 yards used, which is how I can also usually get a pair of socks for Roxy out of them as well. Anyway, but for the Loopy U, the minimum yardage to be used for this project is 400 yards. So originally I decided that I'd just split the ball into two, and I would knit myself some knee socks, and I would basically knit until I ran out of yarn to make sure that I used up all the yardage. But as the days have worn on, and it's already June 4th, and I have not cast on, I was sort of avoiding it, and I wasn't really looking forward to it. Part of that is because lately I've been knitting almost all my socks from the top down, and I was going to need to do them toe up. And I have just really been on a roll with top-down socks and a heel flap, and those are my favorites in terms of how they fit. And obviously I can do a toe-up gusset and heel flap, and it should fit fine, but I was just not looking forward to it, and I wasn't sure that I really wanted more knee socks. And so I thought about the fact that maybe I should just do something else with this yarn. And so I spent a little bit of time looking for patterns, and I think actually I am going to do a pattern by Hilary Smith Callis, which is called Appia. I have knit one of hers in the past. She has several, they're a cross between a shawl and a cowl. You start knitting them back and forth, and then at some point you join in the back and continue to knit in the round so that they end up like a big lacy cowl. And the pattern that I picked is Appia, and I will put a link to that in the show notes. It's got some simple lace patterning to it, and basically the pattern itself only calls for, I think, 275 to 375 yards. But I have done one of hers before and wanted to use up all the yarn. So what I'm going to do is just keep, it's got a picot edge, but I'll probably just keep knitting pattern repeats until I am close to the end, and then just do the picot edge. So the colorway that I'm knitting with, and I had already split this into two balls, so you're just going to see half a ball here. It is a bummer that I'll have to weave the ends in, but it's not the end of the world. This is called Fired Up, and it is kind of a flamingo colorway. It is yellow and pink together, and it kind of comes out looking almost peachy with the yellow in there. But it is just a fun, summery, sort of grapefruit flamingo color that I am really into lately. Now, I will say that I'm not sure it's the best, well, it's not too bad. I was going to say I'm not sure it's the best color up against my face. Like I said, I had originally bought these to do socks. So, and this half looks a little bit yellower, as you can see. This half looks a little bit darker. So, anyway, so this is what I am going to knit my Appia with, and hopefully I will enjoy that and wear it, and if not, I will keep it, and when I find someone in need of a beautiful cowl, I will give it away. So that is the plan for this week. I need to switch that into a different project bag. I already downloaded the pattern this morning, and this is going to be cast on this evening, and I will show you my progress on that through the month. This will be the first project that I focus on so that I can be sure to get it done and stay in Camp Loopy. So then I decided that since I wasn't turning that into socks, I needed to do some socks. So I went back to, back when I was doing the Snug as a Mug pattern, I knit up a whole bunch of samples and I put some of them in the shop, but I caked up all kinds of skeins of, tons of skeins of yarn. And so I went back to one of the skeins that I caked up that I really wanted to use, and back at the time it was a little bit, too thick. This yarn is a fingering weight, but I think it goes more closer to a sport weight. And this is a beautiful skein of yarn from On the Round. It is her everyday base, which is superwash merino wool. And that is her logo, and the colorway is After the Storm. and it is this beautiful like speckled yarn with dark blue chunks in there, like navy blue chunks. And I think I am going to use this to knit the, I think they're called the Mercury socks. I can't remember whether it's Mercury or Mercury Rising. I think they're the Mercury socks. They're kind of lacy socks, and I thought it would be good for a somewhat speckled yarn. It's kind of like the stormy skies and then the rainbow after the storm. And when I saw this skein in her feed months ago, I just had to have it. And since it was knitting up a little bit thicker, I think I'm going to use my US 1.5 signatures on this one, which are my favorite sock needles, and I haven't been able to use them recently because for most of my socks I have been knitting them on zeros, and I haven't quite taken the plunge on the signature zeros yet. Anyway, so this will be my other pair of socks for this month. So I have 2 sock yarn projects for the month. That will get me, both of them are over 400 yards, so that should get me probably like about 900 yards in knitting. And then I also have a bunch of other 1/2 and 3/4 skeins of superwash wools, so I'm going to work on some more hats, possibly for the children, but also to donate. I still have almost a full ball of Cascade 220 from the Rishon blanket, and it's in that dark kind of army green. And I am going to another Mrs. Wilson's knitting circle this coming weekend, and they always accept hats for veterans and like them in kind of sedate colors. So I think I will turn that into some kind of a men's hat, maybe turn a square by Jared Flood. I could do a barley hat, or I could do a Ribaroni hat, which I really, really like. For guys, just something simple, and or I could do an antler hat if I wanted to do some tables, but the plan is to turn that into a hat this week and take that to them on Saturday, so I will just have pictures to show you. But those are the 3 things I intend to work on this week along with spinning. So I'm going to take a quick sip of tea and then I will show you spinning, and then we are done for today. Last week I showed you a braid of wild pinks, and it was called Cupid, and I did not get a chance to, because we were out Friday night, I did not get a chance to finish it. It is ready to be plied today. As you can see, it's pinks and purples. It's got a real light section. It's got this kind of almost cherry red pink, and then it's got a bunch of purplier pinks. And I did have someone ask me if it was available, so I do have someone sort of standing in line waiting for it. If not, it will go up into my shop and I will post about it, so you will hear more to be continued. And I will be finishing that this evening and then hopefully getting some shots up in the next day or 2. And like I said, I'll let you know if this one's going to go to the shop or if it's going to bypass the shop. Which brings me to what I will spin this week. And I do need to, excuse me, pull the bag because I don't remember what it is. It is Fiber Club March 2016 from Hello Yarn, the Hummingbird colorway, and that is Blue-Faced Leicester. So that is the label and fiber, and it looks like this. It is a beautiful kind of almost muted rainbow, and there's pink and orange in there and a lot of green and blue and some gold and yellow, and it should be absolutely gorgeous. This will be destined for the shop, and so I will be spinning that this week and should have this done next weekend in time for the podcast and to go up into the shop. So I think that's about all I have to say. I am getting super excited for Tour de Fleece and Team Loopy, or Camp Loopy, and all the summer stuff. It's funny because summer is typically very hot here, but there are all kinds of crafty things for me to get involved in, so I just love the summer. So thank you for joining me this week. If this was your first time, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you were returning, thank you so much for coming back. I always love to speak with you. And come on over to the group and check out the contests and team events that we're doing, and come say hi. And I will say, as I always do, until I see you next time, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye!